Well, welcome to August 22nd, 2016's Weld County School District 6 Board of Education. Your board meeting will now come to order. Thank you for joining us. Will you please join us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Ms. Berea.
Mr. DeWitt.
Present.
Mr. Hafley.
Present.
Mr. Hall.
Present.
Mr. Lydiak.
Present.
Mrs. Pappas.
Present.
Dr. Richard.
Present.
Mrs. Solis.
Present.
7 members are present.
Thank you. First item is the Board of Education President announcements, and if someone hasn't already noticed, we're back to school. And all the preparation and training and generous community support has certainly paid off with a brilliant start of the new school year. I wanted to mention tonight, as always, or as usual, that we have 3 key terms in our strategic plan to involve the district in engaging, empowering, and inspiring. And 3 of the items, among all the items on the agenda this evening, we discuss a curriculum for the district that is certainly engaging. We talk about a resolution to support item 3A coming up on November's election, and that's certainly to empower the district. And a boost to our English language learner program, and that's certainly an inspiration. So there are some things to look forward to in tonight's meeting. The next item on the agenda is the hearing of persons desiring to speak before the board, and as I am looking around the room, I'm assuming there's no one here to do that presentation, so we'll move to the work session report. Ms. Berea?
Board of Education President Roger DeWitt began the work session with open comments from each board member and reviewed the board calendar and upcoming events. He reviewed the resolution of advocacy in support of ballot issue 3A, which will be presented later this evening. Board members had the opportunity for questions and comments, and that concluded the work session.
Thank you. The next item is the superintendent's report. Welcome to your second year of superintendency, Dr. Pilch. And do you have a few words for us?
You know I do, Mr. DeWitt. You know I do. So thank you. It's great to be in my second school year as the District 6 superintendent. It's been a great start to school, of course, and yes, school is back in session. All of our students are here. We're excited to boast that we will have over 21,000 students, maybe over 22,000 students. So it's good to be in a growing school district. It's certainly much better than being in a district with declining enrollment. So we've had a great start to the school year. I do want to offer an apology to some of our parents in our community. We had some hiccups this past Friday, the first day of school, with transportation. And you know, our staff had worked day and night really to get those routes right and to get everybody here at their school and on time. But unfortunately, we did have some students who it just didn't work out. The bus was late or the bus didn't show. And we had a few significant issues around that on the first day of school. And I want to offer my apology on behalf of the school district for that. I feel terrible that we had the issues that we had, and it's not for lack of people working very hard. Our transportation department is working very, very hard to make it work for all of our 5,000 plus students who ride buses, but we didn't get it exactly right on the first day of school, and I want to apologize for that. And I want you to know that we worked hard, staff worked hard over the weekend to make sure we got it right, and reports are that today was a much better day for district transportation. But you know, we broke some trust of our parents on Friday when we didn't deliver, literally didn't deliver like we should have. And we've got some work to do to gain that trust back, and we have very, very good leaders in our transportation department and in our buildings who are working hard to help us rebuild that trust. But I wanted to apologize for that mishap on the first day of school. You know, last Saturday, a week ago Saturday, on the 13th, we had our Welcome Back to School community event. We had over 5,000 folks at that event. We served over 2,200 hamburgers, all because of our sponsors here in the community who have provided for us so that we could feed the families who came that day. We gave over 2,700 backpacks with school supplies away. We had over 150 partners participating in the event that day, hundreds of staff and other community leaders who are part of that event. It was really a tremendous event and a great way for us to welcome our students back to school here in District 6. And then on Monday, the 15th, we followed with another kind of community kickoff event for all of our district staff, and you all were a part of that, but I want to brag about that for just a moment with our community if I can. So we planned an event we called Celebrate 6, to which we invited all of our district employees, all 2,700 plus of them, and many of our community partners to come and join us for lunch together at Island Grove in a picnic-style lunch, and then we had a program for them that afternoon. And Mr. DeWitt, I appreciate your comments that you provided to staff that afternoon, and Brian Dunbar, the president of the Classified Council, and Pat Otto, the president of the Teachers Association, and then Dr. Tim Elmore, who was our keynote speaker. And you know, it was a wonderful celebratory afternoon, and we sent some strong messages about who we are and what we believe here in District 6, and I certainly appreciated the opportunity to address nearly 3,000 folks about what it is I believe that our most important work here is in District 6, which is about making sure that we are doing everything we can to serve our students and our families. It was a great event, lots of positive feedback since the event, and it was such an honor to get to be a part of that with our staff and with you all, so thank you for that. And again, we're up and rolling. We've got the kids coming, and we are full, and we are excited to be full. And if for some reason somebody out there is watching and you have not gotten your little person to school yet, or your big person to school yet, you let us know how we can help you, because we want you in school, we want your children here with us, and we will take good care of them.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda, and that is an action item. I'll accept a motion at this time.
I move that the Board of Education of Weld County School District 6 approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion or questions? Roll call, Ms. Barea?
Mr. DeWitt?
Aye.
Mr. Haefele?
Aye.
Mr. Hall?
Aye.
Mr. Lydiak?
Aye.
Ms. Pappas?
Aye.
Dr. Richard?
Aye.
Mrs. Solis?
Aye.
And the motion carries 7-0.
Thank you very much. The next item is the approval of or did we just do the consent agenda?
No.
The next item is the approval of the consent agenda, and your consent agenda motion is on page 5.
I move that the Board of Education of Weld County School District 6 approve items as presented on the consent agenda and authorize the officers to sign any and all contracts.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion or question? Roll call, Ms. Briam.
Mr. DeWitt?
Aye.
Mr. Haefele?
Aye.
Mr. Hall?
Aye.
Mr. Lydiak?
Aye.
Ms. Pappas?
Aye.
Dr. Richard?
Aye.
Mrs. Solis?
Aye.
And the motion carries 7-0.
Thank you very much. Board, the next item is a ballot measure resolution, and it is an action item, and I'd be glad to take a motion at this time.
I move that the Board of Education of Weld County School District 6 adopt the resolution of advocacy in support of ballot issue 3A as read.
Second.
Thank you. Indeed, this is the opportunity for the board, which has acted some time ago, to make a ballot issue available to voters in Greeley and Evans, asking the question of a willingness to increase the mill levy. And the resolution of advocacy in support of a ballot issue, the ballot issue 3A, is within the board's right and expectation. So I'm going to read this resolution, which reflects on both the terminology and the specifics of ballot issue 3A, and it gives the board the opportunity to confirm and perhaps give some observations about our intentions revolving around the ballot issue. This is the resolution of the Board of Education of Weld County School District 6 a resolution of advocacy in support of ballot issue 3A. Whereas through the imposition of the negative factor, state funding of K-12 education has been dramatically cut since 2009, resulting in a loss of revenue to Weld County School District 6 since that time of $140 million. And whereas the Board of Education, at its regular meeting on June 13, 2016, unanimously passed a resolution to place a ballot question before registered voters of the district to authorize a tax increase to fund critical operating needs of the district. And whereas if the voters approve the tax increase, the resulting funds will enable the district to address needs that have been deferred, including improving safety, security, and transportation, supporting academic and vocational programs to graduate career-ready students, providing up-to-date instructional materials and technology to support every learner, attracting and maintaining a competitive workforce, allocating mill levy override revenues based on student count to district charter schools authorized as of July 1, 2016, and responding to state cuts as necessary. And whereas the district has used reserves, made cuts, and managed its expenditures in a fiscally prudent manner, and will continue to do so in the future, but these measures alone will not generate sufficient funds to adequately address student needs. And whereas if approved by voters, taxes on a $100,000 home in the district will increase by $82 annually, and whereas the board believes that a modest tax increase is necessary in order to serve the best interest of the students in the district and to accomplish our long-term goals, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of Weld County School District 6 that, 1, the board declares its unanimous and unequivocal support for ballot issue 3A, and 2, that the board urges all registered voters of the district to say yes and to vote in favor of ballot issue 3A on November 8th, 2016. And with a bit of discussion, perhaps you will give me the authority to sign this, and Mr. Hall will attest to our resolution. I'll be glad to open the door for some conversation or questions at this time. Ms. Pappas?
Thank you for reading that, Roger. I just want to say that I want to publicly thank the committee members that are working, that are community members that are working really hard to support this mill levy. There's many, many people that are putting a lot of hours into this, and it's greatly appreciated, and I just want to publicly thank them for that. And the campaign committee is called Community for Kids. And they are, we truly do have a community for kids, and I look forward to seeing what will happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hafley.
I'd like to reiterate what Ms. Pappas said, but I'd also like to recognize some of the alliances. The Greeley Education Association, Roy Otto, the city manager, and the city, the chamber, community members, board members, administration, everybody's been on the same team on this, and that has truly been inspirational to me, and I look forward to the hard work necessary to convince the people who don't know what they're going to decide in the next few months. But I think one of the things that we also need to keep in mind is that some of our voters will be eligible for the senior tax resolution, and some of the codicils for that are you need to be 65 years of age, you need to have lived in your residence for a minimum of 10 years. And what will occur then is whatever your mill expectations are, they will be halved. And I think that it's important that we keep that in mind for some of our voters who may not have people in the district. And I think it's exciting that we are able to assist them and they can help us as well.
Thank you. Ms. Elise?
So as a community member, and the first time the ballot came out, I voted yes. I thought it was the right thing back then. In the process that we've gone through, I understand why it didn't pass. And we've had a lot of discussions around that, and we've changed the way we did we did everything when it came to this ballot measure. And asking community members their thoughts, getting focus groups together to ask them, what would we do with the money? We have been very, very careful in making sure that people were at the table before we decided to go ahead with this, and to actually ask community members, what does education look like to you? What's important to you? What would make you vote yes? And another thing that I've come to realize is that when it comes to a community, one of the first places people go when they're a business and they want to set up shop, or a family that wants to move into a new community, is they look at the schools. And what this ballot measure says is that we as a community, regardless of what happens at the federal level, regardless of what happens at the state level, we care about our kids and we're going to do what's right for them. So I appreciate everyone that's been involved. Please know we've done this process very carefully, very different than we did the first time around, and I hope that people will recognize all that.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hall.
Wanted to say just a couple things. Roger in the resolution read off the major areas of application that this mill levy override will be used to fund. Those came from the community groups that were ran back in the spring and chaired by community members. And it wasn't something that was just dreamed up here. We wanted to hear from the community. There was a list that was many, many, many times longer of needs. But those were the ones that rose to the top within the community, and so that's what's on this. The second thing I would like to say is that with the intention of this, for those that are concerned about it actually going to those areas of interest, there will be a website up, a web page that will show every penny that comes in from the mill levy and every penny that is spent out towards different functions. It's going to be viewable by anybody that has access to the internet. And if you don't have access to the internet, see your local school or come to D6 and we can print out a current schedule. So it will be done with the utmost of transparency. Many people that know me know that I'm not a big tax guy. I don't believe in large government. I don't believe in unlimited taxation among the people or to the people. But this is a need that has to be taken care of in order to get our kids in this community ready for college and career that can step into the jobs of the future, many of which we don't even know what those jobs are going to be today. The staff and the teachers in District 6 have been doing a tremendous job with very little. This mill levy is not a lot of money compared to what others are doing and compared to the needs, but it will help, and it will start off, and it will be utilized, and it will truly make a difference in kids' lives here in D6. So I thank the community for their help in putting this together, the staff certainly, and the committee that is handling it now. And I can tell you that I'll be voting for 3A. So,
Thanks, sir.
thank you.
Dr. Richard.
Well, just to add on a few additional things that, along with what's already been said about the real community input to get us to this point and how vital that is to our students. But it's also that opportunity for us to do something locally, because so often we have responsibilities at the state level and the federal level with how we use our monies. And this is an opportunity to invest in our kids and make it work for the students who are here. This is not a completely new idea. In fact, most of the districts around the state have already done this. Districts of any size, over 10,000 or so, have passed a mill levy override. And they've said that this is a commitment that we want to make to our local students. And so it's an exciting opportunity, and I think it was the right responsibility of this board to offer that out to the community, to have that opportunity to show their support for the students in our district.
Thank you very much. As the board is I'm going to read this little note from Steve.
Want me to read it?
Well, yeah, why don't, Steve, I'm going to call on Steve
I think
again.
it's important, too, that everyone in the public and everyone in the community knows that if you have questions, go to the source and ask. Get the answers. Don't take hearsay. Don't take rumors or innuendo. Go to the head. Come to us. Board members, come to the schools. But go to the source and get the facts and get the information. Ask your questions and ask them until you're satisfied with the answer, no matter which way you're leaning. So that's what we're committed to.
And I appreciate your thought, and I'm glad you just spoke that thought. It's a better thing. I noticed, board members, that I may have omitted a portion of the third whereas. Does that sound right? I'd like to go ahead and read that third whereas a second time, because we accepted the notion of voting on this as read, and I intended to read the entire comment, I think. Whereas if the voters approve the tax increase, the resulting funds will enable the district to address needs that have been deferred because of the loss of state funding, including, and then we went on with the description of what this mill levy override might present. And the reason that I wanted to go back and make sure that I highlighted that comment is that our needs really have been restricted by nothing. We've got needs galore, but our ability to respond has been restricted by the steady cutting off of the only real steady funding supply that the district has. We don't have the ability to do a user fee on every child who enters the door or every child who leaves the door. We are restricted in terms of what is state law. State law says if there's going to be something offered above and beyond what we're giving you, then your local population may choose to increase their taxes. And I believe if you've read anything about other districts' request, our request is relatively modest. And though money is money and no one wants to see an increase unnecessarily, I want to offer a couple of observations. First of all, a comment from one of the many community members that participated in our process of talking about what are the things that our district really needs, what would be something that voters would support. The person said that they would like to have the board give the community the choice. And so this is not a board placing a tax on the locality. This is the board saying, these are things that we choose to do. We are afraid we're not doing as well in these areas without this additional support. Will you, the taxpayer, choose to say yes to this? So it is not the board placing an onerous tax. Indeed, it's the reverse. It's the opportunity to say yes or no to the possibility of a modest proposal. I was thinking about the knowledge that I had about the school district prior to running for the board, and I remember being taken a few years ago by the costs associated with little things in the district. I thought I'd offer 3 costs that I find kind of compelling, since they're not outrageous expenditures, really, when you consider the buildings we're trying to take care of, but they're impressive figures in a household budget. So $145,000 for the utilities for Heath Middle School in a year. I don't have that for my utility bill, but thinking about it, that building takes an awful lot, and would we think to cut back on that? No. What I'm saying is we have a very fixed cost there. That's going to be met, along with $248,000 for Central High School for utilities. It's not as if we're not going to pay that, but indeed meeting that obligation, it's putting that much money somewhere where it's not going directly into instruction. West High School at $254,000. These are for utilities. This is a multi-million-dollar operation with 20, almost 2,000 students requiring an awful lot of attention. And so your board has expressed the fact that we are not only excited about the possibilities that this modest increase might provide, but indeed we are resolved to be in support of it and express our support of it any way we can. With that, unless there are additional comments or corrections, I'd be glad to ask for a roll call, please.
Mr. DeWitt?
Aye.
Mr. Haefele?
Aye.
Mr. Hall?
Aye.
Mr. Lydiak?
Aye.
Ms. Pappas?
Aye.
Dr. Richard?
Aye.
Mrs. Solis?
Aye.
And the motion carries 7-0.
Thank you very much.